Excuse me?
I thought you were this good girl that, just like to have a good time. Shit, it's a little late to ask now, isn't it? But do you have any sexually transmitted diseases? That Duncan file was a mess. You should have worked harder on that one. And in the future, when you want to just come in like this, why don't you schedule it with my secretary, please?
Okay, folks, so you got a little smidge of what Robin, his scene with Andy in his office, and it wasn't pretty. I'll just leave it at that. But basically, when it comes down to this particular scene, I've seen, mixed responses. There are those who feel that, yeah, Andy got exactly what she deserved. There are those who feel like Robin was too harsh. And I think for the most, let me just put it this way, because what I'm going to do, the drill, whenever there's a clip or a scene that's over 30 seconds long, I will put in the audio so we can listen to the entire thing together and then go back and dissect it, So I will say this much. In my opinion, I don't think Gary is at all the reason for Robin lashing out at Andy the way he did. I think it was a matter of him finding out via Hayden through email that Andy slept with one of the janitors. And as a result, because even Robin himself said, you know what, I blame myself of not knowing of your reputation. It's kind of like I know it seems weird, but you know how I always say, like, Fatima's projecting her insecurities about, her pain from Ian onto Zach. I feel like Robin was doing the same thing. He's, getting short, snippy, and being, in some ways, cruel to Andy, but he's really mad at himself. So let me go ahead and play the audio from the scene from the moment Andy goes into the office to when she leaves, and we'll come back and talk about it further.
Come in.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. I thought you were in London.
I had to stop in.
Oh. You didn't call me.
Am I supposed to call you every time I come into town?
You're right.
Yeah. What's up? Got a lot to do.
Well, I needed some help with a friend.
A friend?
Yeah, she may have gotten arrested, and I can't make any headway on it, so...
I see.
So I was wondering if you could maybe...
Yeah.
Yeah?
You ask for a lot of favors, don't you?
I'm sorry?
You asked for help with Fatima, and then Zach, and now this friend. What'd she do?
She didn't do anything.
Well, she had to do something to get arrested.
Well, I was getting to that. Apparently there's a witness that says that she was a part of a robbery that was at her bank. But...
Wow.
Wow what?
I had you all wrong.
Excuse me?
I thought you were this good girl that, just like to have a good time. I also thought you were into a certain quality of men.
I'm not entirely sure what you're getting at right now.
Someone told me that you had sex with a janitor here? Paris or something?
And who would tell you that?
You have a reputation, Andy, and to be honest with you, I'm a little bit embarrassed that I didn't know about it before we...
Are you serious right now?
Yeah, I'm serious. And I want us to be good, so is there anything you want to tell me?
Such as?
Well, shit, it's a little late to ask now, isn't it? But do you have any sexually transmitted diseases?
No.
Okay, when's the last time you checked?
I get an exam twice a year.
That's not a time.
3 months ago in my biannual exam.
All right, great.
Well, is there anything you want to tell me?
No, not at all. I know my status on everything.
And?
What do you mean, and? I don't have anything.
Well, neither do I.
Okay, great. I'm not gonna be able to help you with your friend.
Well, thank you. Anyway.
Hey, Andy, come here. Come here. I was looking at your last case files. That Duncan file was a mess. You should have worked harder on that one.
Okay, I got it.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I will do better at my job.
Okay, good. And in the future, when you want to just come in like this, why don't you schedule it with my secretary, please?
Yes, sir.
Great. Close the door on your way out.
All right, folks. So yeah, I mean, it's just the little things. I mentioned this in my episode review, but like the body language cues and whatnot. But yeah, Robin was just giving Andy a cold, Arctic shoulder. That it was just, you just look at how they interacted, you know, in earlier scenes between them in the previous seasons of the show compared to how they were interacting in this scene. It was crazy because it was kind of like, you know, Andy was having trouble reading the room, to be completely honest. But someone actually talked to me about this a couple days ago in my video about, you know, Robin is done playing games with Andy. She felt that I was being overly harsh on Andy without really calling out Robin because, you know, Robin didn't respect the ring. He kept, you know, flirting and pursuing Andy despite the fact that she was engaged. But the thing about that is, it's one of them things where Andy kind of let it happen. I'm not fully blaming her, but she really didn't do much to stop Robin's advances. It just felt like she was playing with fire. It got to the point where she would, remember season 3, I believe, that was the season that Andy really didn't interact with her girls about anything Gary related. Instead, Robin became and you know, he's not homosexual or anything, even though he pretended to be with Hayden last season just to screw around with him. But it's kind of like, and again, take this with a grain of salt, but it almost felt like Robin became Andy's sister, her friend, and a confidant. So for all things Gary. So she basically went to Gary with all the relationship woes that she would usually go to Karen for. And as a result, you know, Robin could tell the weaknesses in that relationship. I don't even want to say engagement. Yeah, they got the ring on there, but it really ain't nothing changed. So basically from there, you had the situation where Robin just knew that, you know, if I felt like Steve Urkel, I keep wearing her down, she's going to come to me eventually. And then next thing you know, the ring was taken off the finger, and then they started messing around. So it just felt like any time prior to the engagement being broken off, Andy would hang out with, excuse me, Andy would go to Robin, they hang out, talk, get a little drunk sometimes. But then when it felt like Robin was going to take it to the next level, hey, let's go to my bedroom. Hell, wasn't there that one time where they literally went to the bedroom and she was so close to getting in bed, but she was like, no, I'm in a relationship. My fiance won't like this. I need to go. She kept playing with fire. So I don't think it's fair to point all the blame at Robin. Sure, he's a damn homewrecker. But at the same time, Andy was entertaining. She was being a fucking tease. Let's be completely honest with ourselves. She was being a tease. So when it's like every time Gary was just like Rico, what did Karen say? You know how it is. Whenever Zach is acting up, I give you a call, you handle my needs, and that's our arrangement. It felt like that, where every time Gary was out of line. Remember, this was season 3. Gary was a relatively calmer Gary, in that he was somewhat of a good guy. Somewhat, hey, I said somewhat of a decent guy, because he wasn't starting as much shit. His therapy was actually working. It's the fact that Andy wasn't kind of like Karen now. She wasn't used to the man she usually interacts with flipping the script. Gary wasn't causing shit. He wasn't being overly jealous as much as usual. He was the one who was calm in situations. Andy was the one who was always trying to initiate fights for no reason. She would get frustrated with Gary, and then she would leave and then go to Robin. And from there, that's when they started messing around. Threesomes, having sex, whatever. So it almost felt like it was going to be Robin. He was going to be that dude. Gary's like, I'm moving out. I'm getting my own place, Andy. You ain't got to worry about me staying with you anymore. But the thing was, Andy started really lighting the candle at both ends. Anytime Robin would kind of, not confront her, but say, are you sure you and, Gary, like, that's over with? What kind of woman do you think I am? I'm not a whore. I'm offended. And then Gary would back off like, okay. And then, like, as soon as he would head out of town, like, they would have a great night together or whatever. And then, like, he's on a plane somewhere, he would call, not a plane, but a private jet. He would call Andy and could just tell by the sound of her voice that the certainty of them being together was gone, because of the fact that, wait, you're still involved with Gary, aren't you? No, it's not that. Look, I can tell in your voice. But then she keep denying it. Fine. Okay, you know what? Maybe I'm worrying for nothing. Never mind. I'll see you when I get back. It's basically her, like, having her cake and eating it too. Being a hoe. Look, well, Jeremy, it's not fair. What about Robin? He had that girl in the bedroom when Andy came and had the threesome. 2 things on that. 1, Robin is single. 2, he invited Andy to spend the night. She said no, so he won't go and stay alone. He had a woman. She was the one that went back to her fiance. They had a big fight. Didn't he take I forgot when they called off the engagement, before or after the threesome. I'm going to be honest. I don't give a shit. But basically, after she got pissed off at Gary, she goes back to the man she had rejected the advances of to have a good time. And then, saw him with another woman, and then they started doing the do. So, yeah, Robin, no. The only thing he's really guilty of is engaging with a woman who's already spoken for. Respect the boundaries. But then again, can you really call out Robin? Because Robin's an awful person. He's messing around with Andy and she was engaged. And look, for the people who say, see, you're a man, you're always giving the women shit, but you don't call out the men for their shit. If you've been listening to this video, I have kind of been doing that. I've been addressing the men and their shortcomings too, Gary and Robin. Here's another one though. Why is it right to call out Robin for not respecting the ring when Andy did something even worse? She had an affair, what was it, about 6 months prior to episode 1 of Sisters. She had almost a half a year affair with a married man. So don't sit up here and say, see, you're condemning Andy, but not Robin. Robin did mess around with a woman with a ring on her finger, but guess what? Andy was messing around with a man with a ring on his finger for multiple months until she finally got busted. That's why I feel conflicted with saying that, man, it was tough seeing Andy go through that in Robin's office, but it's just like in season 1 when Jasmine confronted her about the affair. This is what happens when you make bad choices like this. There are consequences, you know? But yeah, I do feel like Robin, he was being relatively petty, mainly because I think it's his own anger at himself for like not doing his due diligence, finding out the kind of person Andy was. But I mean, that's what happens when you just hop around in bed. What the hell do you expect? So, I mean, it did seem a bit elitist where it's like, so, I mean, if she messed around with another lawyer at the firm, would that be better than her just randomly sleeping with a janitor like Paris? It's just one of them things where it's like, not really sure what Robin's mad about here, you know? But I guess, you know, after the email, I mean, Hayden sent the email, but it just makes you wonder, Andy has a reputation that he should have known about, but where did he find out about this reputation? Because keep in mind, one thing that fans fail to forget is Jasmine did a lot of things off screen. How many people, you know, what did Andy say or learn? That Jasmine had flyers. This trifling bitch lives here. She had flyers all outside of Andy's apartment complex, at the police station. You know, the number of people who flirted with Andy, assuming she was easy, not to mention the humiliation of dealing with the, you know, FBI situation with Gary at her job. This is one of them things. It's one of them things I wish Tyler would really focus on a little bit more. I'm not saying that every episode all eyes have to be on Andy. Like, wow, she's a whore. How did she get partner in this kind of thing? I really wish a lot of that was really explored, because remember, I keep saying that one of the things about Andy, I hate how she's written. She goes through so many of these huge traumatic things, but we really don't see how it impacts her on an emotional level or on a daily basis. It's kind of like, well, Gary's ex-wife had a gun to my face. Okay, let me see what's going on with Karen today. See, we really don't see the, you know, the follow-up on those kind of situations. But when it comes to Robin, you know, he pretty much let Andy, you know, beg. It's like, oh, what do you mean favor? I mean, help you with Fatima, with Zach. Well, what's going on now? Okay, and yeah, so, yeah, he pretty much is done with her. I mean, from the whole thing about anytime you want to meet with me now, don't just stroll into my office. You need to set up an appointment with my secretary. And then I think the real pettiness was when he called out her last case file. It's a mess. And I would have been like, exactly how? Like, what mess are we talking about? No, if Robin was really going to be that guy, it was such a mess. Next time you might want to get a janitor to clean it up. Now, he said that out like petty. I think Robin was being petty. I think in regards to the situation, did it hurt to see Andy go through that? It did. It did. But like I said, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. But at the same time, it's like, I hope this sticks with her, where it's like she stops doing the whole sleeping around thing, understanding that you never want to mix business and pleasure. I mean, that's your freaking boss. So that, I mean, hell, like I said, when I worked at the call center and whatnot, I just don't date coworkers. It's messy. Hey, there are those who form relationships. I know plenty of people who got married to people they met at the call center and whatnot. That just wasn't my thing, because I just feel like going to work sometimes is hard enough. And to like say you went out on a date, it was bad, and then things are awkward in the office, especially let's say you worked in the same team or same department. Nobody wants to be part of that inner office drama. I sure as hell didn't. And hell, I made it through my 3 years and I got out. So Andy should have definitely thought about what she did before she did it with Robin. I mean, Morris said it best in season 1, where he called her out. It's like, you think you've made it this far in your career because of your intelligence and your achievements? No, it's because, you know, the judges are men. They see you, the way you show your cleavage, and, you know, the way you use your body to get what you want. Like, basically undermining all of Andy's successes. And I'm not saying she's not intelligent at what she does, but it kind of makes sense. I mean, in season 1, it's clear to see Morris is an asshole. But then as you watch Andy as the series goes on, it's like, yeah, he kind of has a point, especially with all the revealing outfit she wears to work, where it's like, Ain't no way in hell in a professional setting a woman could have that much cleavage showing, you know? So yeah, that's literally her flaunting her assets in order to gain assets, even though she claims to not be materialistic. So yeah, it sucked because we know that Andy was trying to get help for Sabrina, and now that help can't be received because, you know, Andy's whole tendencies have, you know, come back to haunt her. But at the same time, this is what happens. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen with Robin as the series goes on. Will he still be an asshole to Andy? You know, he is going to talk with Paris in the next episode. Is he going to believe that they never went out and maybe Hayden was lying? Because imagine if, you know, he believes Paris and then he fires Hayden, but that's not going to happen. It's just one of those things, you know, where maybe he'll apologize for being too harsh. And I do feel like at the end he was being, when he told Andy come back here and then, you know, just kind of ripped her about the last case filing. I felt like that was unnecessary. That was just petty. But up until that point, you know, yeah, the STD stuff, bad timing. You should have asked about that a long time ago. But, you know, I felt like, you know, some people are like, wow, he treated Andy like she was a whore. She was a hoe. I mean, hey, when you got a photographic memory, it's just one of them things where if you look at Andy's behavior throughout the entire series, is she not? I don't mean to call her out of her name, but she kind of is, even though she doesn't want to admit it. So, yeah. I really felt bad, like, when Fatima went to her office and she was so damn shaken up because Robin chewed her out. She can't do anything to help Sabrina. I really wanted to give her a hug. Nothing more than a hug. But, yeah, she needed a hug. But, yeah, that's how it goes. So, yeah, again, never mix business with pleasure. Be honest and straightforward about your intentions with people. And don't be a homewrecker, because, you know, screw you if you do that. It's just one of them things where flirting with disaster usually leads to disaster. Okay, I'm out of fortune cookie sayings here, but let me know what you think. Do you think Robin was too rough with Andy? Obviously not when it came to the back shots, but like I said, I think it really boils down to Robin being mad at himself for, like he said, not knowing about Andy's reputation and, you know, assuming one thing about her when another thing was true. And I really think it was the Paris email from Hayden and not the standoff with Gary. Because, like I said, if the email never happened, I feel like Robin and Andy would have been flirtatious as always. I mean, maybe Robin would have asked a little bit about, so are you still involved with Gary? You know, he was talking a lot of smack after the meeting was over. But other than that, but then again, I think Andy would have still, no, we're not. No, well, yeah, I think she would have said, yeah, I think she would have done that. To be honest, I think she still would have done that. Like, there's nothing going on between us. Well, you're working together in business. That's interesting. But yeah, there's nothing going on between us, despite the fact that they were just knocking the boots the previous night. So what's done in the dark comes to the light. There you go. All right, well, that's all I got to say. Let's see how things play out. Like and subscribe. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And I'll catch you in the next one.